Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another special edition of It Takes a Viking, where we interview alumni and friends of Salem State. Very excited to have with us today Mr. Paul Markis from the class of 1986. Paul is the author of the recently published Cocktail Keeper, an anthology that chronicles his, 40 years in the business?
40 years. Yep.
40 years in the restaurant and bar and service business. We were very excited to have Paul join us at Pomp 2024 this year. So if you were at Pomp with us this year, I hope you had a chance to stop by Paul's table and have one of his delicious offerings that was made available to us for this year's celebration. So, Paul, how you doing? Welcome.
I am doing good. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yep, so one of the questions I like to ask folks before we get started is, what brought you to Salem State and how did you end up here?
Sure. At Salem State, I got into the business school way back when, and I got into many colleges, and this was the most affordable. State universities are always a good source of to go to college.
And now you studied in the business school. You're here. You graduated in '86. What were the next couple of years like for life for you after you graduated?
So, yep, I did business and political science. I got a job in politics right after graduation, but I always bartended. Even when I came to even before I came to college, I worked in a restaurant. And then when I was in college, I worked in a bar, and so I always bartended, no matter what job I had. Yeah.
And if you've never been in the service business before, specifically bartending, it can be a lot of fun. It can be some long, stressful days, but it's always a little bit more fun than I would guess your average 9 to 5.
Yeah. Well, there's different types of bars. There's the city bars and the neighborhood bars and beach bars and things like that, and they all have their benefits and their disadvantages. But it was always the hours are long, especially the place I worked the most lengthy. I worked 25 years in one place, and my busy time was 12 midnight to 2 in the morning, and people would rush in because we were the last call place. So that was pretty intense.
So at what point did you say, you know what, I've got some history here, I think I want to start writing it down, and then that would eventually evolve into the Cocktail Keeper, your newest publication?
Yeah. So after working in a variety of different restaurants and bars, I opened up a restaurant. Actually, we opened up 2 restaurants. One was farm to table, the other was Italian, and we ended up selling those restaurants after about 10 years. And I was putting all my files together from different recipes. And as I was putting the recipes together, I was looking at the drinks, and I was like, I remember the history of those cocktails or the history of those spirits and stories from different customers. So I started writing things down, and I put it all together, and I had a nice manuscript, and I said, let me see how this goes as a cocktail book. I went to some bookstores, saw the cocktail books that are available. Didn't have anything like I wanted to put together, so I put it together, and it's a great book, Cocktail Keeper.
And we'll link to it in the text for this post. But for those that may be watching and interested in learning more, where can they find out more about the Cocktail Keeper?
Sure. So you can go on my Facebook page, and now we are on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles.
And so, as someone who got to experience the Cocktail Keeper live and in color at Pomp 2024, and I enjoyed a Screaming Viking or two, as you think about your time in the business and now that you've put this collection together, you had shared with me recently that as a result of this and some other things that you've been doing, there's some potential even larger, more exciting opportunities that are coming your way. Can you talk about those a little bit?
I hope doing the book and having the social media, doing events like Pomp was awesome. I really like to do those events because I can create drinks just for those events, which I pulled a bunch of them out of the Cocktail Keeper book. The Screaming Viking, for instance, was a great drink.
Yeah, yeah, very, very good drink. Yeah. As you think about it, do you have something that you kind of, is there anything in the book that maybe was a creation of your own or something that you always think about kind of as one of your favorites to prepare?
In terms of a drink, yeah, I really like the maple walnut old fashioned. It's one of my favorite drinks.
Okay, and we'll put that recipe in the text for the post so people can get a sneak peek of it.
Yep.
So Paul, really appreciate you stopping by to tell us more about kind of all the great things that are happening with the Cocktail Keeper. Again, we'll link to all of this in the post, and you'll be able to see some images of the book, of Paul at Pomp. And for those that might be interested in kind of learning more about the craft cocktail industry and kind of what you can do at your home versus, you know, if you're out as a professional in the field or something like that, it's a great resource. We have a copy here in the office, and I know you had some copies at Pomp that some folks were able to pick up as well.
Yep, and it's a great book. There's not just recipes, but there's stories. There's quips about different things and the drinks, the history of the drinks. There's a menu for every occasion and holiday, which is nice. There's famous toasts and things like that. Very so nice. It's a pretty well-rounded book.
Very nice. Yeah. So for those that may be interested, check it out. Very grateful to Paul for joining us today, class of '86 grad, here on a special edition of It Takes a Viking.